Every dream worth chasing will test your patience. Every goal worth achieving will demand your persistence, and every victory worth celebrating will require consistency. The truth is simple: talent can open the door, but only consistency keeps it open. This audiobook is not about quick wins or fleeting motivation. It is about the power of showing up day after day, even when progress feels invisible. It is about understanding why winners refuse to quit, even in the face of setbacks. As we journey together, you will discover why consistency outshines intensity, how small habits compound into extraordinary outcomes, and why those who stay the course eventually stand victorious. Let's begin. Success is not built in a single day. It is not the result of one lucky break, one bold move, or one brilliant idea. Success is a foundation, carefully laid brick by brick, action by action, choice by choice. And at the heart of this foundation lies one powerful principle: consistency. Think for a moment about a mason building a wall. At first, all you see is a pile of bricks and mortar. The first brick doesn't look impressive, and the second may not look much different. But day after day, brick after brick, the wall begins to rise. What once looked like nothing becomes something strong, steady, and lasting. That is what consistency does for your life. Each small, repeated action may seem insignificant in the moment, but together they create something extraordinary. Consistency is reliability. It is the promise you make to yourself and keep again and again. Each time you honor your word, whether it's waking up early to exercise, reading a chapter of a book, or practicing your craft, you send yourself a message: I can be trusted. And once you learn to trust yourself, confidence begins to grow. That inner trust is what separates the dreamers from the doers, the starters from the finishers, and the talkers from the winners. Now let's consider nature. Look at a river carving its way through stone. One drop of water means nothing. 1,000 drops may leave no mark. But millions of drops, over years and decades, carve valleys, shape landscapes, and transform the earth itself. It is not the power of a single moment, but the power of steady repetition that creates change. Consistency works in the same way. Small efforts, compounded over time, can change the shape of your entire life. Too often, people wait for a moment of inspiration or a stroke of luck to achieve success. But success is not something you stumble into. It is something you build, and the tool you build it with is consistency. Imagine someone going to the gym only once every few months, hoping to get strong. It doesn't matter how hard they work during that single session. Without consistency, their efforts will not last. Compare that to someone who trains modestly, but regularly. Day by day, their body grows stronger, their endurance rises, and their confidence increases. Consistency beats intensity, because intensity may burn bright for a moment, but consistency burns steadily for a lifetime. And here is a truth worth remembering: success is not a place you occasionally visit. It is a home you build through daily discipline. If you only show up when it's convenient, you'll never reach your full potential. Winners don't win because they did one thing right once. They win because they kept showing up, no matter how they felt. Of course, being consistent does not mean being perfect. Life will challenge you. Some days will feel heavy. Some days you may stumble. But consistency is not about never falling. It is about never staying down. It is about rising again, showing up again, and moving forward again, even if the steps are small. As you reflect on your own journey, ask yourself, what bricks am I laying each day? Are my actions building the foundation of the life I want? Or am I leaving the wall unfinished? The truth is, every choice is either moving you closer to success or further away from it. Consistency is not glamorous. It does not always bring applause, but it is powerful and it is unstoppable. Like the river carving stone, like the mason building his wall, your steady effort will shape your destiny. The foundation of success is not talent, luck, or opportunity. It is the willingness to show up again and again with discipline and determination. And when you do, you become unstoppable. We live in a world that celebrates speed. Fast food, fast delivery, instant downloads, and overnight success stories fill our screens every day. We are constantly shown the highlight reels of other people's lives, their victories, their wealth, their fame, as if these things appeared out of thin air. But behind every so-called overnight success lies years of invisible effort, trial and persistence. The truth is, success is never instant. It is the product of consistent, patient work. Many people begin their journey filled with enthusiasm. They pour energy into their goals, expecting immediate results. When results don't appear as quickly as they hoped, discouragement sets in. They mistake slow progress for no progress. They forget that growth often hides beneath the surface before it shows on the outside. Think of a seed planted in the soil. When the farmer places it into the ground, nothing seems to happen for weeks. Day after day, the soil looks the same. But beneath the surface, the seed is sprouting roots, anchoring itself deeply, so it can withstand storms later. If the farmer were impatient and dug up the soil each day to check, the seed would never have the chance to grow. Dreams are no different. Just because you can't see the progress yet doesn't mean it isn't happening. This is where many people quit. In the invisible stage of growth, they give up just before the roots have taken hold, just before the breakthrough is about to come. Winners, however, understand that success follows its own timeline. They keep nurturing their dreams, even when results are not immediately visible. They know that patience is not waiting passively, but working consistently with faith that results will come in due time. Think of the bamboo tree. For the first few years after it is planted, it shows almost no visible growth. Yet during this time, it is developing a massive root system underground. Then, almost suddenly, it shoots up and grows several feet in a matter of weeks. That explosive growth could not have happened without years of unseen preparation. Many people want bamboo, like results without bamboo, like patience. But the winners are the ones who keep watering their dreams during those quiet years. Ask yourself this: are you willing to keep showing up even when no one notices? Are you willing to trust the process even when results are hidden? If your answer is yes, you already possess one of the rarest qualities in the world: the ability to endure. There is a reason why so many quit early. It is because their focus is on the outcome, not the process. They want the reward without the work, the harvest without the planting. Winners flip that mindset. They fall in love with the process itself. They find joy in the daily effort, not just the end result. They understand that the habit of showing up is a victory on its own. The myth of instant results is a dangerous illusion. It creates false expectations and steals persistence. But once you free yourself from this myth, you gain an incredible advantage. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You start trusting. And in that space of steady commitment, true growth unfolds. Remember this truth: success is not about how fast you achieve it, but how long you are willing to pursue it. The slow, consistent path may not look glamorous, but it is the only one that leads to lasting achievement. So, when your results seem invisible, remind yourself: roots are growing, growth is happening, and as long as you keep nurturing your dream with consistency, the harvest will come. When people imagine success, they often picture a sudden breakthrough, a moment when everything changes overnight. We love the stories of instant victories and dramatic turnarounds. But the truth is, success is rarely the result of a single giant leap. More often, it is the quiet accumulation of small, consistent steps that lead to the extraordinary. Think of a staircase. From the bottom, the top may seem impossibly far away. But climbing it is not about jumping to the last step in one motion. It is about taking one step, then another, and another, until you reach the top. Each step may feel small, even insignificant on its own, but together they create progress. This principle is the secret behind lasting achievement. The person who writes a single page each day eventually finishes a book. The one who practices their instrument for 30 minutes daily grows into a skilled musician. The individual who commits to daily exercise transforms their body and mind over time. The problem is that small steps don't always feel powerful in the moment. They are easy to underestimate because their results are not immediate. Missing one workout doesn't ruin your health, and reading one page doesn't make you wise. But that is exactly the danger. Because small steps feel optional, many people neglect them. Yet the reverse is also true. Because small steps are so manageable, they are the easiest way to create lasting success. Imagine a jar filled with tiny drops of water each day. At first, it looks nearly empty. But day after day, drop after drop, the jar begins to fill. Eventually, it overflows. That overflow is what the world calls success. But the truth is, it was built on countless small, unseen actions that no one celebrated along the way. Consistency gives these small steps their power. One action repeated may seem minor, but repetition transforms it into momentum. Think of compound interest in finance. A small investment grows slowly at first, almost invisibly, but over years, it multiplies into something massive. Habits work the same way. What seems ordinary today becomes extraordinary tomorrow. Winners understand this truth. Success is not about intensity, but about endurance. Anyone can give their best effort for a day, or even a week. But the person who shows up daily, even when enthusiasm fades, is the one who ultimately reaches greatness. Consider the story of the tortoise and the hare. The hare had speed, talent, and natural ability, but the tortoise had consistency. Step by steady step, the tortoise kept moving forward. And in the end, it was not the fastest who won, but the most persistent. Ask yourself, what small step can I take today toward my goals? Don't underestimate its value. Reading for 10 minutes, saving a small amount of money, practicing a skill for a short while. These actions may not feel life-changing, but over time, they will transform you. The difference between those who succeed and those who quit is not found in one great effort, but in thousands of small, invisible choices. Every day, you are building your future, brick by brick, step by step, choice by choice. The question is, will you keep laying the bricks? Will you keep taking the steps? Because in the end, success belongs to those who honor the small steps. It belongs to those who understand that big results are nothing than little results stacked on top of each other. So take the step, then take another. Trust that each action matters, even if no one notices yet. Over time, your persistence will turn those small steps into a path that leads exactly where you dream to go. Motivation is a wonderful spark. It can make us feel unstoppable, filled with energy, ready to take on the world. But here's the challenge: motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather. One day you wake up full of passion and drive. The next day, the fire feels dim, and the weight of excuses starts to settle in. If your progress depends only on motivation, your journey will be inconsistent. This is why discipline is far greater than motivation. Discipline is the ability to act, regardless of mood, regardless of circumstances, regardless of whether you feel inspired or not. It is the anchor that holds you steady when the waves of emotion try to toss you around. Motivation may start the journey, but discipline carries you to the destination. Think about an athlete preparing. for the biggest competition of their life? Do you think they train only on the days they feel excited? No. They train for soreness, through fatigue, through boredom. They show up because they know their future depends on their present discipline. Imagine if they waited only for motivation. They would never reach greatness. In life, the same rule applies. The student who studies every day, even when tired, develops mastery. The entrepreneur who works on their vision daily, even when discouraged, builds a foundation for success. The musician who practices every morning, even when uninspired, sharpens their craft until excellence becomes second nature. These individuals are not driven solely by fleeting bursts of motivation. They are guided by discipline. Motivation is like a sparkler, bright, dazzling, but short-lived. Discipline is like the steady flame of a candle, quiet, unwavering, and enduring. One fades quickly. The other burns long enough to light the path forward. Discipline also shapes identity. Each time you follow through on your commitments, you strengthen the belief that you are capable and dependable. You stop waiting for external inspiration and start becoming your own source of strength. Eventually, you don't ask yourself, "Do I feel like doing this today?" Instead, you simply do it, because it is who you are. Let's take a practical example. Imagine you set a goal to exercise daily. The first week, you're motivated. You buy new shoes. You feel excited. You push yourself hard. But by the second week, the excitement fades. Work feels heavy. The weather isn't perfect, and your mind whispers excuses. Skip today. You deserve rest. This is the moment most people quit. But discipline speaks differently. Discipline says, it doesn't matter if you feel like it. What matters is the commitment you made to yourself. And so, you go. You train anyway, and afterward, you feel stronger, not only in body, but in character. That repetition builds momentum. Day by day, discipline wins over comfort, and over time, results appear. Winners understand this secret. The battle is not against the task, but against the temptation to delay it. Discipline is the weapon that ensures victory. You may ask, how can I strengthen my discipline? The answer lies in simplicity. Start small, commit to something manageable, and repeat it daily. Build the muscle of consistency, just as you would strengthen a physical muscle. Over time, your capacity grows. And when bigger challenges come, you will have the strength to meet them. The truth is this: success is not built on mood swings or bursts of energy. Success is built on habits, rituals, and disciplined actions repeated consistently over time. So, do not wait for the perfect wave of motivation. If you rely on feelings, you will quit the moment they fade. Instead, train yourself to act despite feelings. Do what must be done, especially when you don't want to. Because in those moments, you are no longer at the mercy of fleeting emotions. You are building unshakable strength. Motivation may light the fire, but discipline keeps it burning, but becomes a blazing force. And that force, once built, is unstoppable. Life is not a straight path. It twists, it turns, and sometimes it feels like it comes to a complete stop. Along this journey, every person who pursues something meaningful will face obstacles. They will encounter rejection, discouragement, and even outright failure. But here is the dividing line. Some stop in the face of adversity, while others summon the courage to continue. That single decision, to keep going, is what separates winners from quitters. It is easy to move forward when the road is smooth, when applause surrounds you, and when progress is visible. But the true test of character appears when the applause fades, when progress slows, and when the road seems endless. That is the moment when the voice of doubt becomes loudest. Why are you doing this? Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe you should give up. Winners hear that voice like everyone else, but they do not obey it. Instead, they choose courage. Think about the process of learning to walk as a child. A baby falls countless times. Again and again, they stumble. Yet no child gives up after the third or fourth fall. Why? Because the instinct to keep trying is stronger than the pain of falling. And because of that persistence, every human being learns to walk. The lesson is simple: failure is natural, but quitting is a choice. The courage to continue does not mean the absence of fear or frustration. It means pressing forward despite them. Imagine a mountain climber facing sharp winds and freezing air. Their body aches, their lungs burn, and everything inside them whispers, "Turn back." Yet, step by step, they climb. They do not quit because the summit is worth the struggle. That is courage in action. Not the absence of pain, but the willingness to endure it for a higher goal. Failure itself is not the enemy. In fact, failure is one of the greatest teachers you will ever encounter. Every setback carries a lesson, every rejection carries redirection, and every challenge strengthens your resilience. But here is the key. Failure can only teach you if you continue. If you quit, the lesson is lost. If you stop, the growth stops with it. History is filled with stories of individuals who achieved greatness, not because they were the most talented, but because they refused to stop. They were rejected, mocked, doubted, and sometimes even forgotten. Yet they carried on, driven by courage and consistency. Their stories remind us that every success you admire was once at risk of being abandoned. Now, bring this lesson closer to your own life. Think of a time when you almost gave up on a project, a dream, or even yourself. Perhaps it felt too heavy, too uncertain, or too slow. But then maybe you took one more step. And in that small act of continuing, you found strength you didn't know you had. That is courage. And every time you repeat it, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you realize. Winners don't quit because they understand this truth. Courage is not a single moment of bravery, but a repeated decision to keep showing up, day after day, step after step, even when the road is unclear, even when the results are invisible, even when their own mind whispers doubts. So, the next time you find yourself wary, remember this: courage is not about never falling. It is about rising every time you do. It is about believing that the summit is worth the climb, that the reward is worth the struggle, and that the dream is worth the persistence. Consistency, at its heart, is courage in action. The courage to continue, no matter how steep the path, no matter how heavy the load, no matter how long the journey. And if you hold on to that courage, there is no obstacle that can truly stop you. Consistency is more than an action. It is an identity. It is not just about what you do on the outside, but who you become on the inside. Every repeated action, every choice you make, is like a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Think about this. When you wake up early to exercise, you're not just moving your body. You're reinforcing the identity of someone who values discipline and health. When you dedicate time each day to learning, you're not just reading words on a page. You're affirming that you are a student of life, someone who grows with every passing day. Identity is powerful because it guides behavior. When you define yourself by your actions, your habits no longer feel like chores. They feel like expressions of who you are. For example, a runner does not ask, "Should I run today?" They run because they are a runner. A writer does not question whether they should write. They write because it is who they are. Consistency bridges the gap between what you want and who you believe yourself to be. The more consistently you act, the stronger that identity becomes. And soon, your goals stop being external targets and start becoming natural extensions of yourself. Imagine two people learning to play the piano. One practices only when inspiration strikes. The other practices for 30 minutes every day, even when it feels dull or difficult. After a year, who has not only improved more, but also begun to see themselves as a musician? The answer is clear. Daily consistency transforms skill into identity. This is why winners don't quit. Quitting is not in their nature, because they have trained themselves to see persistence as part of who they are. They no longer identify with giving up. They see themselves as builders, creators, achievers, and those identities guide them through struggle. But identity can work in the opposite way too. If you consistently break promises to yourself, you may start to see yourself as unreliable, as someone who doesn't follow through. That belief then makes it even harder to stay consistent, because deep down you've convinced yourself you cannot be trusted. This cycle is dangerous, but it can be broken. The good news is this: identity is not fixed. It is shaped daily through choices big and small. Every time you choose discipline, over comfort, persistence over quitting, or effort over excuses, you are rewriting your story. You are carving out the identity of a winner. So, how do you align your actions with the identity you want? Start small. Instead of saying, "I want to run a marathon someday," start by telling yourself, "I am a runner." Instead of saying, "I hope to get healthier," affirm, "I am someone who makes healthy choices." Your words matter, but your repeated actions matter even more. Speak the identity, act in alignment with it, and soon it becomes who you are. Think of consistency as the thread that weaves identity into your daily life. Without consistency, identity unravels. With it, your identity becomes strong and unshakable. You begin to embody the values you once only dreamed of practicing. Remember this: success does not come from chasing results. Success comes from becoming the kind of person who naturally creates those results. When consistency shapes your identity, your goals stop being distant dreams. They become inevitable outcomes. Winners don't quit because their actions are no longer about trying. Their actions flow from who they are. They do not question whether to keep going. They know persistence is part of their identity. And once consistency transforms who you are, victory is not just possible, it is guaranteed. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in human achievement. It is that invisible current that begins to carry you forward once your consistent actions start to stack upon each other. At first, the journey feels heavy, like pushing a boulder up a hill. Every step is an effort. Every action feels small and insignificant. But then something shifts. The boulder begins to move with less resistance. The weight you once struggled with now works in your favor. This is the power of momentum. And it only reveals itself to those who stay consistent long enough to reach it. Think of a train sitting on the tracks. At the beginning, when it is still, it takes enormous energy just to get it to move a few inches. The wheels creak, the engine strains, and progress is painfully slow. But once the train starts rolling, its speed builds. Soon it's racing down the tracks, unstoppable, carrying immense power. That is momentum in action. And in life, consistency is the fuel that starts your engine. Momentum is not built overnight. It is not a sudden burst of motivation that comes and goes. It is the quiet result of showing up day after day and repeating the small habits that align with your vision. When you do this long enough, those habits begin to build on themselves. The effort compounds. Progress multiplies. What once felt like struggle begins to feel natural, even inevitable. Consider someone who decides to run every morning. The first few weeks are hard. Their body resists. Their mind argues. But they continue step by step, day by day. Slowly, their stamina improves. Their stride becomes smoother. What felt like a burden at first now feels like part of who they are. Eventually, skipping a run feels stranger than doing one. Momentum has taken hold. This is the gift of consistency. It transforms discipline into flow. The daily grind turns into rhythm. What was once forced becomes automatic. And when your actions become automatic, success becomes sustainable. Momentum also brings confidence. Each small win proves to you that progress is possible. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you add another brick to your foundation. Over time, you look back and realize how far you have come. And that realization gives you strength to keep moving forward. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. Effort creates results. Results create confidence. And confidence fuels more effort. But here is what you must remember: momentum works both ways. Just as consistency builds positive momentum, inconsistency can build negative momentum. Skipping one workout may not seem like much, but if it becomes a pattern, you create momentum in the opposite direction. Bad habits compound just as easily as good ones. That is why it is vital to guard your consistency. Protect your habits. Never underestimate the impact of a single choice, because each choice either builds your momentum or breaks it. The winners are not the ones who push hardest for a single day. They are the ones who keep pushing until momentum begins to carry them. They understand that the hardest part is the beginning, when results are invisible and progress feels slow. But they also understand that once momentum arrives, it feels as though the universe itself begins to assist them. Opportunities appear, energy rises, success accelerates. So, ask yourself, what momentum are you building today? Are your daily actions pushing you closer to your vision? Or are they pulling you further away? Remember, momentum is never neutral. It is always moving in one direction or another. Consistency is the key to ensuring it moves in your favor. With every choice, every repetition, every act of discipline, you are pushing the snowball forward. At first, it may feel small, but keep going. In time, that snowball will grow so large that nothing can stop it. Winners don't quit because they know the power of momentum. They know that once it begins to carry them, the journey becomes not only easier, but inevitable. And that is the reward of consistency. The moment when effort turns into flow and persistence transforms into power. Patience is one of the most underrated virtues in the pursuit of success. In today's world, where we can order a meal with a tap on our phone, stream a movie instantly, and receive answers from a search engine in seconds, we have been conditioned to expect everything quickly. But here is the truth: meaningful goals do not obey the rules of instant gratification. They require time. They require consistency. And above all, they require patience. Think of the farmer who plants a seed. Once it is placed into the soil, the farmer does not rush back the next morning, demanding to see green sprouts. He does not dig up the seed every few hours to check if it is alive. Instead, he waters, he waits, and he trusts that growth is happening beneath the surface. Even when nothing is visible, life is forming underground. Your dreams are no different. The goals you set, the habits you build, and the vision you carry within you, they are all seeds. At first, progress may be invisible. You may question if your effort is making a difference. But patience reminds you that just because you cannot yet see the results does not mean growth is not taking place. Often, the most important development happens in the dark, unseen by anyone, including yourself. Winners understand the long game. They know that consistency plus patience is a formula that never fails. Consider the bamboo tree. When planted, it shows no visible growth for years. For long stretches, it appears as if nothing is happening. But beneath the ground, roots are spreading wide and deep, creating a foundation strong enough to support what is to come. Then, almost suddenly, the bamboo shoots upward, growing several feet in just weeks. Was the growth really sudden? No. The years of unseen patience prepared the way. This is why winners don't quit. They understand that impatience kills dreams long before failure ever does. Impatience whispers, "It's not working. You should stop." But patience replies, "Trust the process. Keep going. The results are coming." Patience is not passive. It is not simply waiting and doing nothing. Patience is active faith. It is choosing to keep working, keep showing up, and keep believing, even when the timeline feels longer than you expected. It is moving forward with calm confidence, knowing that time is your ally, not your enemy. Think of mastery. Whether it is learning an instrument, building a business, or training your body, mastery is never achieved in weeks. It is earned over years of practice and refinement. Patience is the bridge that carries you through the long seasons when progress feels slow. Without it, you will abandon the journey before you ever reach your destination. So how can you cultivate patience in your own life? Begin by shifting your perspective. Instead of asking, "How long will this take?" ask, "How far can I go if I never stop?" Instead of looking for quick wins, look for steady improvement. Each day you remain consistent, you are one step closer. Each effort, no matter how small, compounds over time. Another way to develop patience is to celebrate progress, not just outcomes. The person who walks a mile today is further ahead than they were yesterday. The writer who creates one page today is building a book, one page at a time. The student who studies for 30 minutes daily will be miles ahead in a year. Every act of consistency is proof that you are moving forward, even when the finish line is not yet in sight. Remember this: impatience wants the reward without the process. Patience embraces the process, knowing the reward will come. Winners play the long game. They understand that while others quit because the journey takes too long, they will endure. And in the end, endurance always outlasts talent. Patience is the companion of consistency, and together, they create unstoppable progress. So the next time you feel restless, the next time you feel like quitting because results are not showing fast enough, remind yourself of the farmer, the bamboo, and the truth of growth. Things of value take time. Trust the process. Stay consistent. Be patient. Because the long game belongs to those who never stop playing. Doubt is one of the most common visitors on the path to success. It shows up quietly at first, whispering in your mind. What if I'm not good enough? What if this effort leads nowhere? What if I fail? And if you allow it, those whispers grow louder until they paralyze your actions and drain your confidence. But here's the truth. Every person who has ever achieved something worthwhile has wrestled with doubt. Winners are not people who never feel uncertain. They are people who learn how to keep moving despite it. Resilience is the key. Resilience is not about never bending, never falling, or never struggling. It is about standing up each time you are knocked down. It is about choosing to rise, even when your knees shake and your mind questions your worth. Imagine a ship sailing through a storm. The waves crash, the wind howls, and the journey feels impossible. A weaker vessel might turn back or sink under the weight of the storm. But a resilient ship, though battered, keeps steering forward. It doesn't deny the storm. It faces it, and eventually the storm passes, revealing calm waters once again. Your doubt is like that storm. It is temporary. It feels overwhelming in the moment, but if you keep moving, you will find your way to calmer seas. Think about inventors who failed hundreds of times before discovering what worked, or athletes who lost more games than they won before becoming champions. What allowed them to succeed was not an absence of doubt, but the strength to continue despite it. Every failure whispered, "Stop," but their resilience answered back, "Keep going." Resilience is not something you are born with, it is something you build. Each time you face doubt and still take action, you strengthen your resilience. Each time you push forward, when it feels easier to give up, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your fears. One powerful way to build resilience is to reframe doubt. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask yourself, "What if I learn?" Every setback carries a lesson. Every delay strengthens your patience. Every challenge prepares you for the next stage of growth. Doubt loses its power when you see it as part of the process, rather than a barrier to success. Another key is to remember why you started. Doubt often makes us forget the original fire that pushed us to pursue a dream. Take time to reconnect with your vision. Picture the life you are working toward, the people you want to impact, the future you want to build. That clarity acts like an anchor in the storm, keeping you steady when everything else tries to sway you. Resilience also grows through community. Even the strongest people sometimes stumble. Surround yourself with those who believe in you. Those who remind you of your strength when you forget. A word of encouragement, a reminder of your progress, or even just the presence of someone who supports you can reignite your courage. But above all, resilience is a personal choice. No one else can make it for you. When doubt says, "Stop now," you must decide to whisper back, "Not yet. I'm not done." That decision, repeated again and again, creates a mindset that is unshakable. You will never completely eliminate doubt, but you don't need to. Doubt only wins when it stops you from moving forward. Resilience ensures that, no matter how loud the inner voices of fear become, your actions speak louder. So, when doubt visits, and it will, welcome it as a sign you are on a meaningful path, for no one doubts the ordinary. Doubt only appears when you are attempting something greater. And remember this: consistency plus resilience equals victory. If you refuse to quit, even when your mind tries to convince you otherwise, then success is not a question of if. It is only a matter of when. Persistence is often misunderstood. When people think of achievement, they imagine moments of glory, flashes of brilliance, or sudden breakthroughs. But the truth is, the foundation of all great success is persistence. The quiet, steady refusal to quit, even when progress is invisible. The world tends to celebrate the result, but overlook the process. We see the gold medal around the athlete's neck, but not the thousands of lonely mornings they spent training before sunrise. We admire the successful business leader, but not the countless sleepless nights filled with uncertainty. We applaud the writer for their masterpiece, but not the endless drafts thrown away in frustration. Persistence is the story behind the story. It is the long chapter no one reads, but without it, the ending would never exist. Think of a sculptor standing before a block of marble. At first, it looks impossible, a lifeless slab of stone. With every strike of the hammer, every careful movement of the chisel, the sculptor chips away, revealing what was hidden all along. To an observer, the progress may appear slow, even insignificant. But the sculptor understands. Persistence is not about speed. It is about steady movement toward the vision. And so it is with your life. Each effort, no matter how small, is a strike of the hammer. Each repetition, each practice session, each attempt is shaping something greater than you can currently see. Persistence is powerful because it compounds. One day of effort may not change your life, but 1,000 days, 1,000 attempts, 1,000 moments of choosing not to give up, that changes everything. Remember this: persistence is not glamorous. It is often boring, repetitive, and thankless. It feels like showing up when no one claps. It feels like continuing when you'd rather rest. It feels like pouring effort into something that still hasn't given you a reward. But that is exactly why persistence is so rare. And because it is rare, it is also priceless. There will be days when your mind whispers, "This is pointless. Nothing is changing." That is the very moment persistence is most valuable. Because persistence is not tested when everything is going well. It is tested when the results are slow, when progress is invisible, when quitting seems easier. Think of a miner digging for gold. He swings his pickaxe again and again, day after day, sometimes finding nothing but rock and dust. But just beyond one final strike may lie the treasure. Most people quit before that moment. Winners persist until they reach it. Persistence is also a mindset. It is not about never failing. It is about refusing to let failure stop you. Each setback becomes a lesson. Each obstacle becomes fuel. The persistent person does not ask, "How long will this take?" They ask, "How far can I go if I never stop?" The power of persistence is quiet, but it is unstoppable. It is the reason rivers carve valleys, the reason trees grow through cracks in concrete, the reason ordinary people achieve extraordinary dreams. You may not see the masterpiece today, but your effort is shaping it. You may not feel the reward today, but your persistence is creating it. So keep going. Keep striking the stone. Keep chiseling at your dream. The world may not notice yet, but persistence guarantees that one day it will. Because persistence is not just an action. It is a promise to yourself, a promise that no matter how long it takes, you will not quit. And that promise, kept over time, will turn the impossible into reality. Consistency is not something you practice only in pursuit of a career goal, or while chasing wealth, or when striving to master a single skill. Consistency is a way of living. It is a philosophy, a mindset, and a choice that touches every area of your existence. To live a consistent life means to bring steadiness, discipline, and alignment into everything you do, from the way you care for your health, to the way you treat others, to the way you honor your commitments to yourself. Think for a moment about relationships. Trust is not built through a single grand gesture. It is not earned in one day of kindness or one act of generosity. Trust grows when you show up consistently, when you keep your word, when you listen with care, when you demonstrate reliability over time. A friend who is only supportive when convenient cannot be counted on. A partner who only shows love in fleeting moments cannot build a lasting bond. But someone who consistently honors love, respect, and loyalty creates a foundation that cannot be shaken. The same truth applies to health. You cannot eat one nutritious meal and expect lifelong vitality. You cannot exercise once and expect lasting strength. But when you make small, consistent choices, drinking water instead of soda, walking each day, sleeping well, fueling your body with care, those daily actions compound. Slowly, you transform not just your body, but your energy, your clarity, and your quality of life. Consistency also defines character. A person who is honest one day and dishonest the next cannot be trusted. But someone who consistently chooses truth, even when it is difficult, builds a reputation of integrity. Consistency is how your values become visible in the world. It is how your principles take shape in your actions. Living a consistent life also means resisting the trap of extremes. Some people live in cycles, motivated one week, careless the next. They swing from high energy to deep neglect. But this instability prevents progress. Winners do not live in extremes. They find steadiness. They do not let their emotions dictate their effort. Instead, they choose alignment, doing what is right, regardless of how they feel in the moment. To live consistently is to create harmony between who you are and what you do. When your actions match your values, you stop living in conflict with yourself. You feel grounded, centered, and at peace. Consistency becomes a form of self-respect. But let us be clear, living a consistent life does not mean perfection. No human being can be flawless every single day. You will stumble. You will miss a step. You will have days where things do not go as planned. But consistency is not about never falling. It is about always returning. It is about recommitting again and again until steady action becomes your natural way of life. Consider the rising sun. Every morning, without fail, it appears. Some days it is hidden behind clouds. Some days it shines with blinding brilliance. But whether seen or unseen, the sun is faithful. It shows up. That is the power of consistency, steady, reliable presence, no matter what. When you live a consistent life, you no longer chase success in fragments. You embody success daily. You no longer need to ask, will I reach my goals? Because the answer becomes inevitable. With consistency, your life itself becomes the proof. So ask yourself, where in your life can you bring more steadiness? Where can you show up with greater reliability? Where can you align your actions with your deepest values? The winners of life are not just consistent in their careers. They are not consistent in their living. Their discipline becomes their identity. Their reliability becomes their legacy. To live a consistent life is to live a powerful life, and that choice is always yours. We have reached the end of this journey, but in truth, your journey has only just begun. You now understand the great truth that winners had always known. Consistency is the foundation of every achievement, the heartbeat of every dream, the quiet force that transforms effort into excellence. Think back on everything we have explored together. Success is not about sudden breakthroughs. It is about steady commitment. It is about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. It is about staying true to your path when results seem far away, and continuing forward when doubt tries to pull you back. Winners are not different from you. They are not born with more talent, more intelligence, or more opportunities. They simply choose not to quit. They show up again and again until the habit of persistence becomes a part of who they are. Consider the stories of progress you have seen in your own life. Perhaps you learned a skill, built a relationship, or achieved a goal. None of it came overnight. It came because you returned to it, time after time. That is the beauty of consistency. It makes the impossible possible, not in one leap, but in 1,000 small steps. There will always be a temptation to quit. The road will test you with fatigue, with setbacks, with long stretches where progress feels invisible. But remember this: the darkest night comes just before dawn, and those who remain faithful to their effort are the ones who witness the sunrise of success. Consistency does more than achieve results. It shapes your identity. Each time you keep going, you prove to yourself that you are reliable, resilient, and strong. You create a bond of trust with yourself that cannot be broken. And when you trust yourself, you unlock a deeper kind of confidence. The unshakable belief that no matter how long it takes, you will get there. This is why winners don't quit. They don't quit because they know every step, no matter how small, brings them closer. They don't quit because they understand that discipline matters more than fleeting motivation. They don't quit because they see the long game, and they know patience will reward them. And most importantly, they don't quit because quitting is not part of their identity. They have chosen to live consistently, and that choice defines them. So, what about you? What will you choose? Will you be the person who starts with excitement, but stops when the journey gets hard? Or will you be the one who shows up, day after day, until the vision in your mind becomes a reality in your hands? You already have the power. It is not found in sudden bursts of effort, but in the quiet, daily decision to stay the course. Every day, you are writing your story with your actions. Every morning, you decide whether to move closer to your dream or drift away from it. Choose consistency. Choose persistence. Choose to keep going, even when it feels slow, even when it feels invisible, even when it feels impossible. Because it is in those very moments, the moments when most people give up, that your future is being shaped. And one day you will look back. You will see how every repetition, every effort, every choice to continue built the life you once dreamed about. You will realize that victory did not come in a single moment of glory, but in the hundreds of unseen moments when you decided not to quit. That is the power of consistency. That is the victory of winners. And that power is already within you. So, step forward. Keep building. Keep believing. Keep going. Because your best life is not waiting for you at the end of the road. It is being built right now, one consistent step at a time.